You must work on yourself before fixing others. Welcome to the Chanukah and Parshas Miketz perspective. The Chanukah perspective is being sponsored by Kfir ben Moshe Morris in honor of the birth of his baby boy. May Hashem bless him and his entire family with much health, success, and nachas. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Miketz. Our Parsha continues the story of Yosef HaTzadik, who went from being a slave to the viceroy of Egypt. It is not a coincidence that the rags to riches story of Yosef HaTzadik is always read during the holiday of Chanukah, because their lessons are intertwined in a major way. Yosef's story is about a boy who was loved by his father but hated by his brothers. He was sold as a slave in Egypt but eventually became the master of Potiphar's household. And even when he was wrongly accused and thrown in prison, he ended up becoming the viceroy of Egypt, second to only Paro himself. And as the Torah tells us about Yosef's journey, we are able to see the development of his emotional maturity and spiritual growth, which culminates in him having the opportunity to save the world from starvation. From when he was young, Yosef bragged to his brothers about his dreams of superiority and how their father loved him the most. This caused his brothers to hate him with a vengeance and drove them to sell him into slavery. When he was eventually brought down to Egypt and sold to Potiphar, Paro's minister, he was very successful and appointed master over Potiphar's household. The reason for his success was his belief in God. As the pasuk says, Potiphar saw that God was with Yosef, and whatever touched Yosef's hand, God made prosper. Rashi explains that when it says God was with him, it means that Yosef would continuously say that everything was from Hashem. However, the pasuk also mentions the fact that Yosef was very handsome, and Rashi explains that Yosef would spend a lot of time caring for his hair, and this angered God immensely, because while he was focusing on his own personal appearance, Yaakov, his father, was mourning the loss of his favorite son. And to punish him, God made Potiphar's wife desire Yosef, which caused him to be thrown in prison. However, it was in prison that Yosef was able to grow and mature into the man that he was meant to be. And with his spiritual growth complete, he was now able to fulfill his potential of saving the world. We learn this from the fact that Yosef was not gloomy or depressed about his imprisonment, but rather optimistic and hopeful about his future. He stood tall in the face of adversity. This is why he was put in charge of the prison and able to detect that two of his fellow inmates were unusually troubled one morning. His extreme level of maturity and belief in Hashem led him to his freedom and the opportunity to save the world from starvation. Yosef's story teaches us two main lessons. The first one is that it is our belief in God that keeps us going when times are tough. And second, that we must enlighten ourselves before we can enlighten others. And since the lesson of Chanukah is to add light to this troubled world, it is incumbent upon us to work on ourselves each and every day in the hopes that we can take full advantage of each opportunity that can possibly change the world. Have a happy Chanukah and a wonderful Shabbos. Thank you for tuning in to the Parsha Perspective. Check out our website, theparshaperspective.com. Send thoughts and comments to theparshaperspective@gmail.com. Till next time, thanks for listening.